Hey guys, in this episode, I'm gonna talk about how to focus on what you can control. Let's do it.
Hey, Sua!
Years ago, I was asked to speak at a conference in Denver, Colorado. I'll never forget. I got on the plane in Salt Lake City, and have you ever sat next to somebody who just talks too much on public transportation? They ask you too many questions. Well, I'm kind of like that person. I just love to get to know the person sitting next to me. I sat down, I turned to my left, and it was this woman who was in her mid-20s, and I asked her why she was going to Denver, Colorado. She immediately grabbed the armrest. Her breathing started to change, and she had rapid eye movement. In other words, physiological response to stress. I could tell she was stressed out. And from the moment we took off in Salt Lake City to the moment we landed, she went on about why she was stressed. She was entering this big piano competition and she was nervous. There was gonna be a lot of people watching. The competition was gonna be hard. There was a lot of great pianists there and the judges were gonna be very strict. And she went on and on about how she wasn't quite sure how she was going to do. The landing gear came down and we were about to land when she finally asked me, "Sorry, Justin, I've been so rude. What do you do for a living?" I smiled and I said, "When I tell you what I do for a living, you're gonna be mad at me." She goes, "Why would I be mad at what you do for a living?" I said, "I'm a mental performance coach. My job is to help people perform at high levels who are under high levels of stress." She thought about it, she processed it, she looked at me, she said, "That's what you do for a living?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You help people who are stressed perform at a high level?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Well, why didn't you help me this entire time?" I said, "Well, sometimes when you just get things off your chest, it helps." She goes, "Well, that didn't help me. I'm still really stressed out." She goes, "Do you have anything else for me?" I said, "Well, let me get this straight. You're going into this competition. You're nervous about the judges. You're nervous about the other pianists. You're nervous about the crowd. Is that correct?" She goes, "Yes." I said, "Well, yes, I do have a little principle that might help you." She pulls out her journal to write it down. I said, "Well, you won't need to write it down. You'll easily remember this." She goes, "No, I want to write it down." I said, "Okay, here it is. Focus on what you can control and let go of everything else." She takes a deep sigh of relief and she goes, "That's what I need to do." I said, "As I'm listening to you, you're so focused on all these things that are outside of your control. What can you control?" She said, "My attitude, I can control my process, I can control myself." I said, "Yes, focus on that and let the results take care of themselves." I gave her my email and I said, "Let me know how it goes." About a week later, she sends me an email telling me that it went wonderfully and that the reason it went so well is because she was focused on the things that she could control. Now, that advice, focus on what you can control and let go of everything else, you can find that in a fortune cookie at Panda Express. It's not rocket science. However, common knowledge isn't always common practice. And in this episode, my invitation to you is the same invitation I gave to this young pianist, which is to focus on what you can control and let go of everything else. Because the things that you try to control but can't end up controlling you. So my question I have for you is, what is something that you can control, or what are the things you can control, but you are choosing not to control? Not because you don't want to, but maybe because you were just ignorant to them. These are things like your attitude, things like your effort, things are what you do every day, how you treat people. Write those things down. What can you control in your situation? Now, the second question I want to ask you is, what are things that you have no control over, but you're trying to control? Write down those things as well. Once again, the things that you try to control but can't end up controlling you. This includes other people, it includes the past, the future, things that are completely outside of your control. And a lot of times you might be trying to compare yourself to not only other people, but to your old self. You used to be able to do that. You used to be smart. You used to fill in the blank. Let those things go. Focus on what you can control and let go of everything else. As you do that every single day, wake up in the morning and say, what can I control today? You're gonna find more power. You're gonna see that you're in the driver's seat of your life. You're in the driver's seat of your process. And little by little, as you focus on what you can control, you're gonna be less stressed, You're gonna be more productive, more positive, and you're gonna have a better perspective because you're not gonna get bogged down by those obstacles, especially those things that you have no control over. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you like this episode, please share it with those who you think might enjoy this. Like, subscribe, and be sure to hit that bell so you know when the next video is released.